Shane's right.
Welcome to Unbiased and on the Fence. We are already having a good time. It is Tuesday, and I'm joined with Michelle Wolfe. I won't say your name
Hello.
like Zoe says it.
Yeah, woof woof.
They are doing a photo bomb right now as we
Yeah,
speak.
they always do. It's an early intro for
That's
them.
awesome.
There's Archer in all his nobility.
Yeah, I do want to mention that you were on with Michelle's Opinions yesterday. So if anybody
Mhm.
missed that, definitely want to check that out. That was very interesting. And
Yeah.
so, did you have fun doing that?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was great topics. I love talking about dreams, so we did talk about that quite a bit, and we went over a lot of things actually we've been talking about the last couple weeks as well. So and some symptom chats, and yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Now, as far as symptoms I've had, I've been like really feeling, especially when I try to meditate, I just get so dizzy. And it's almost like I took like Tylenol PM sometimes. It's just like I'm so
Yeah.
out of it, you know what I mean? And I end up just falling asleep. And I think that I'm just getting deeper and deeper more than usual. And then on top of all of that, sleeping more. So it's like I'm on this roller coaster, right, where I feel extra zingy during the day when I'm just doing my work or whatever, and then when I'm trying to calm down and meditate, it's like Tylenol PM time. It's like I get so sleepy and out of it, and
And
it's like
it hits like a wall. That's what I'm finding, because I'm finding more energy sometimes in the morning when I'm not used to having energy. Like when I'm waking up, it's like boom, I'm awake, and I'm like, oh, let's, and then and then all of a sudden, like a wall, it'll just boom, and I'm like, I have to go lie down right now, and yeah, I'm finding a need to meditate even more, because sometimes I'm feeling the energy spike and come in. It's almost like, and you can feel it. It's not what's going on around it. We're kind of used to thinking, okay, what am I supposed to worry about? Or, it's just recognizing sometimes that's what it is. It can hit us with a little bit of an anxiety feeling sometimes. So, what I got even like an hour before we came on today, 2 hours before, I had my like a good salt bath, and just trying to really slow down. And I really got that, just slow right down. I got a great visualization that with everything really picking up, with the energy, it's almost like, when we're flowing down the river, we want to be in the flow. But what's happening now is the river's like, whoa, we're getting to really a big, sloshing around, rapid part of the river. The water's flowing fast. I mean, we even see the visual really with the rain and things getting washed out and such, in a lot of areas. It's just really pushing. And our temptation, when we see the rapids coming, we're like, okay, I better swim over this way, or I better, be aware, or be swimming with it or against it, and really try to puzzle it out, and maybe feel a little frantic because we see what's coming or what we're going through. But really, again, the key is to just completely slow right down and just relax. And the visual I got is just if you were to continue really that, laying back, just kind of floating in the water, sort of just really treading water lightly. You don't really have to do anything at all. It really is just relax back, and you'll just whoosh whoosh whoosh,
go with the
through
flow.
the rapids, and just you'll flow with it. You really don't need to get frantic and start, trying to think, well, I should plan to go swim this direction or that direction, and trying to work with the energies that are going on. Just really just really let yourself lay back and relax and just flow, and it'll take you where you need to go in a much simpler, easier way, even though everything's moving around so quickly around you right now.
Yes, I've been just trusting that the things that the unknowns, the things that are sort of out of our hands, to just let go of them and trust that those things are taken care of. We've got enough on our plate on the 3D, from the 3D standpoint, to worry about that. Just trusting your higher self to take care of those things that are unknowns and to work things out, to line things up. Because with all the synchronicities I've been getting, that's just reaffirming to me anyway that, things are lining up. Just pay attention, be in the moment, look out for those messages, those little tips of what you should do or who you should talk to or what topics to cover, here on the show or whatever. And it's like, that's just trusting my intuition is probably my biggest tip. And to just trust that, things are lining up. Everything seems so orchestrated lately. The more I
Mm-hmm.
look into it.
I think that really is a big key. Zoe. Sorry, Zoe, go relax. Sorry, guys. Is this, oh, squirrel. Oh, squirrel.
Yeah, trusting your intuition.
Okay, yes. And the synchronicities, it really is letting us know consistently, more and more consistently, you are supported. You are supported. We got your back. We got you. We know what's going on. So even if you don't, there's constant signals and reminders there that there is a greater plan, that there is a greater understanding, and that you are supported. And I think that in this time with next big wave of energy coming in, is really going to push us in possibly surprising ways to really release all things 3D. And you may see things falling away that you didn't even expect to. And I think we're really going to be, I hate to use the word test, but it's almost like, there is a real looking at your progress in your ability to be able to just release all expectations, release all material, release all of these things. And that can be a tricky thing. We want to plan, we want to make sure we're going in the right direction. um, but I think we're really going to be pushed to let go of all things. Could be like job, relationship, your home, like really so many things. And you really just have to let it go. That's part of the faith that we're going to be experiencing. I think at this point, you really have to let go of those 3D things completely
Yeah,
and be
Carmela,
okay with it.
I get the 11/11s all the time too. That's I always think of my mom because that was her birthday, November 11th. But just as a little example, I was just talking to you before the show is when me and Eileen did that Power of Eight at 8, and I went to chop down the meditation part of it. I was doing the screen recording, and I looked down at the runtime of the recording, and it was 222, and I thought, oh, and then I looked down at the clock, and it was 5:55.
Yeah.
I was like, so what was going on in my head at that moment? I had this idea for this meditation, this abundance meditation that I did. And that was sort of letting me know, hey, that thought you're having right now isn't just your own thought. It was an intuitive thought. Act on it. So the next day I put out that abundance meditation and sort of, got my feet wet into the meditation because I meditate all the time in my head, but guided meditations hasn't been my thing, but people have enjoyed it. I appreciate the encouraging words from everyone in the comments. Thank you so much because it is new territory for me to
Hmm.
do anything like that.
But that, I think that's a great example that you gave, is that the intuitive idea being marked with the number synchronicity. And it really is a great tool, Shane. I think that's absolutely it. When you see the numbers pop up like that, look at what were you thinking about, right? Like right there, what are you thinking about at that time? And because I think there's a real depth to that, and we are going to be given a lot of intuitive sparks, ideas, and things that will push us out, outside of the comfort zone. But it really is time to take that leap of faith. And with the meditation, and the guided meditation, and putting that out there again, I really feel like it's the throat chakra that is going to be pushed, to really speak your sovereignty, really to another level. I think we like keep experiencing these different things, and then it sort of takes up another level. So, um, I was talking on Michelle's show yesterday, even about, the pressure over the last 3 weeks in the forehead area right here, and how, going through that, like 6 months ago, well, I thought that was all done, so to have it come back around, but in a more powerful way, I think just shows us like we keep fine tuning up a notch, take it up a notch, take it up a notch. So I think the speaking of our new belief systems, and creating that reality, the words are key. The spoken word is key to manifestation. So we really do want to create that, and we really do have to speak those words to create that magic. So I hope a lot more people are going to be speaking their truth, and coming out. I think we'll see a lot of that with new
I think
channels. And mhm.
I think a good analogy is like when you're tuning up your guitar string. If you like tune it up too fast, you're going to break the string. You have to sort of kind of slowly increase the frequency of it. And I think that's sort of what's happening with us. We're going through these changes, but it can't just be all at one moment. Not like we're a string and we'll break, but it's just the process we need to go through. You know what I mean? That it's got to be done. Because if you think about your headaches, if you were to compile all that into one quick moment of it, that would be quite a headache. Right.
No, thank you.
Right.
Yeah, I think that your guitar idea is a good point with that fine tuning. That it is fine tuning now, and even changing some of the notes. So yeah, I think that's a great example, Shane. Yeah.
And the time speeding up too. I saw. I think it was last week. Somebody's like, "Shane's always late." I've always been late my whole life. Just to be completely honest with you, I even
Me
got
too.
fired once from a job because I was late too many times. And I had actually started being really good about it. I'd started going to work like a half hour early, and the things my dad would do, because like, why do you go to work 45 minutes early? He would go to work 45 minutes early, so in case I have a flight on the way to work, I'll still make it on time. And I'm like, what? So you're going to
Hmm.
waste 45 minutes of every day of your life for that one slim chance of having a flat?
Yeah.
You have to change your tire, and you still, that's like the day you call and say, hey, I had a flat, I'm going to be a little late. Is how I've always thought. But as soon as
Yeah.
I started to get better with being on time with stuff, time started speeding up. It's like they keep moving the goalpost for me. So I do apologize, you guys.
Exactly.
Time
That's how
just
I
flies.
just gave up on it. I'm like, this is just, you know what? I am always late. I talk loud.
Two peas in
But
a pod. I'm like getting ready, and
yeah,
I'm ready to call you up, and you're like, I'm getting ready, and I'm like, oh,
yeah,
okay. So I guess we're
yeah.
gonna be a few minutes late.
Yes. I'm like, it's just,
It
and
runs
you're
in the
right. Like
soul
I
family.
totally lose track of time. But I think that we experience that more with really being in the now, and I think you should lose track of time. I think that's the goal. If it's not barking, it's a squeaky toy.
Oh, is that a
Can you
squeaky toy?
guys
I was
hear
wondering, is that
that?
the neighbor's baby or something?
Stop it, you guys. They do not want the message out today. They're
They
like,
got a message of
Mom,
their own they're delivering.
she's doing this on purpose, so I will open the door. Okay, pardon me. I'm going
No
to
problem.
mute this
I'll
time.
hold down the, yeah. That's great. Let me look at the chat really fast. Let's see here. Oh, Diane didn't have sound, but you do now. I'm glad everyone else did. Yeah, and when I got the 222, I thought of when I had Sylvia on, and she was getting lots of 222s. And then you say, Michelle, you said that 222 and 555 were real big right now. Anyway,
Yeah,
those are the two
yeah.
numbers I got. It was almost like the thought I had. I saw those two flash, because as soon as I saw the 222, I immediately thought of, oh, that's like a time synchronicity. I look at the clock and it's 555, and I'm like, it was totally like my higher self
Hmm.
was like, yes, 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 act on that.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, no, and I keep picking up on the 555 as well, like yesterday a few times. And then I mentioned too, you were telling your 222 story, and then I'm like, yeah, like I was getting ready and I'm like, oh, I better hurry up. look at I look at the clock and what does it say? 222. So, and then, a couple minutes later, we're talking and you're telling me this. And I'm like, yeah, it's time to go. 222.
Yeah, and it's weird because I
So
was getting tons of 444s and just 44s and lots of repeating fours, and it's like that died off, and now I'm getting fives, 11s. The 11s are sort of always the thing for me. They're
I
like
think they're
always.
just the big call sign that over everything. Yeah. And then when you get into the other, it starts to get, more detailed, but you can always go back to the, 111 or 1111. And yeah, it's always going to keep flashing and pointing itself out. So, um, yeah, and I mentioned to you too, what I was even starting to notice is I wouldn't even be looking at the clock, but I would be getting hit with energy vibration and be, well, what time is it? Oh, it's 111. Okay, all right, that's why. So I still notice that as well. It's like giving me an alert. The ringing may go up, the buzzing, the vibration, the pressure in the forehead or pressure in the head will go up, and yeah, I'm like, oh, okay, there's an increase in the energy vibration, the resonance of what's going on right now, and it's
Yeah.
recognizing the time. So yeah, I think we're really feeling that a lot of going across a lot of boundaries. I'm finding I'm feeling the resonance of a lot of things now consistently through the day. So
Yeah, and
definitely keeping.
I had gotten, I think it was a runtime on a video or something, and it's sometimes it happens a little more cryptically like this, but it was 47 minutes and 47 seconds, and in gematria, 4 and 7 combined to create an 11, so it was like an 11 11 in the form of a 47 47. I was like, oh, it's there, it is, it's still an 11 11. I wouldn't have
Hmm.
known that a year ago until I sort of got into how gematria and reduction and all that works, but it presents itself in all sorts of ways all the time.
I really enjoyed studying numerology, and I did a few years ago because of a dream I had actually telling me about numbers where my higher self spoke to me and had en masse it repeated in a chant, the numbers in purple never lie. The numbers in purple never lie. The numbers in purple never lie. Well, the numbers in purple are 7, 8, 9, which represents your higher chakras as well. 9 being the real galactic consciousness, awareness, and intelligence. 8, being sort of your third eye, and the 7 really, speaking your truth as well too. But these numbers and these symbols, and they carry through everything. They carry through the tarot cards and how the numbers revolve that way, and so it just goes across so many things in our environment, in our life, the symbolisms of numbers and many different things. And if you look for all of these, it's amazing the pieces of the puzzle that you can put together just for looking at symbolisms. So
Yeah, definitely. Uh, have you been watching Mr. MBB 333 lately, by any chance?
watch the water moving around. So that's what actually when I mentioned the water coming in and washing away. I think that was his last video showed. Was it Missouri possibly getting washed out? Dams
111
breaking.
people watch
Yeah,
on the 112.
this is yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's
Check.
delayed, so it's probably different for you guys, but yeah, it's 15 seconds
That's
delayed. It might be
funny.
more, but I always say that, and people are like, no, it's whatever, whatever for me, but there's that delay, so it changes. It's
Yeah,
just what it is for you, you know what I mean?
but
But
that's it. When you see it as your divine moment, isn't it? Then we each have our divine moment of experience. So, and
exactly.
in seeing those synchronicities, and we're still experiencing it in our own way, even though we might be right next to somebody else experiencing it completely different. So. Mm-hmm.
That's totally true. So have you had any dreams lately?
Well, yesterday was interesting as far as I did a meditation or sorry, a YouTube hypnosis session, and then it was very deep. I had a lot of energy, and so I'm like, I need to rest after. I was immediately out and very deep, And I went right into that mode of instruction where I'm receiving information again. Not no running around, no nothing, just right in there to the slideshow of, okay, this is this and this is this, and I'm getting explained all this stuff. And I'm now lucid because we've talked last week about setting the intention, being aware, being consciously aware of what's going on, setting that intention. So I'm consistently setting the intention, which now allows me to be lucid. So in the lucidity of the dream, I'm like, okay, I get it. I like what's being taught to me. I'm like, okay, there's no way I'm forgetting this. No way. I got it. I totally understand it. This is amazing. Like, and I'm aware that I'm dreaming. I'm aware that I understand the information. I check with myself, to I'm okay. No, I'm good. I'm going to remember this. And then as I'm coming out and waking up, it's like sand just spilling through your fingers. And it's like, what? Like, I was so sure I had it. I understood it completely. And I could not, by the time I came out, I couldn't even maintain a word of it. So I think it really is a block knowing that is difficult for us to translate in the way that we communicate at this time. I think that it just doesn't transfer over. We're able to take in the information when we're doing that, but I think I'm getting a sense that the amount of information is greater than what is being told to me. So even though I'm getting the sensation of somebody talking to me, telling me things, I believe that there's far more information attached in that time than just the words that are being told to me. And so I'm trying to cling to words, but the words aren't what is the knowing. And I think that is what I lose. Like, that's the sand that goes through the fingers. If there's words being used, I think that they're just activating and downloading this block of knowing information,
They're
because
getting
that
the
was the feeling.
information. It's just more on a subconscious level. It's like the conscious part slips through your fingers, but the other part does get into your overall knowing then.
Well, there was a real recognition of real understanding, and like, wow, I get it, like, and it's to such a degree that I really did feel, okay, I got this down, and but I think even the way that when I look at how I had the lucid recognition of okay, I get it, it was um a large knowing in a moment of time.
Right. We had
Mm-hmm.
something interesting on the Schumann resonance as
Oh, I meant to mention that to you too, to see if you could pull up a picture because
yeah,
it's
I've
going
actually got
haywire.
it. Yeah, I've got it pulled up. There's these sort of teardrop shapes or cone shapes that's been hitting every day. And
Yes.
I was Metal Rabbit was talking to me about this as well, but this is just it seems like energies that hit. I don't know. One day it was
Bloop.
around one or
Yeah.
two, and the next day around three,
A
and
lot
then
of between 1 to 4 in the morning in North America.
mhm,
So I know that that was disrupting sleep for people, most particularly, I think, maybe Thursday, Friday, Saturday evening. And then I think going into Sunday and into Monday, it was like, whoa, I'm really tired again. So back to deep sleeping, I'm getting a sense of like people went to sleep really early Sunday night, whereas the previous days before that, they were waking up in the middle of the night, too much activity going on, and couldn't
yeah,
get back to sleep till like 4 in the morning.
I
So that
have
was
been
happening a lot.
waking up a lot in the middle of the night as well, and
Mm-hmm.
between these teardrop or cone shape bursts, there's all of these pulses, um, several an hour, like we were seeing a few months ago. So definitely some weird stuff going on there. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
It's little jolts of energy being detected.
Yeah, yeah, and I can feel it, like, and but I feel the energy that's not showing up on there too. So I mean, I feel those, but then there's other energy that comes in that doesn't show on up on that. But I mean, the whole world is really showing the evidence of it. I think it's unfortunate that the news is really just not even covering this. Like, they're talking about Hawaii, but they're not covering the fact that these earthquakes and volcanoes are picking up very rapidly all over the world. So unless you're watching, specific information on it, like we mentioned last week with Dutch Sense, or looking at the reporting yourself, you're not even going to be aware. And it looks like they're consistently downgrading activity as well. And lowering it, and then even removing things, or not posting things. So Japan's gotten hit pretty hard, and you can literally see the run and the activity going all around, and it's constant now, and it is continuing to pick up. And I believe that we're going to see that continuing to pick up, like going into as we discussed, the 19th, with the 180-degree planets, being on one side.
Oh, that's
So
today, the 19th, you said?
of July.
Oh, okay. So a month from today. Yeah.
Yes.
One love says they look like diamond waves. They sure do. I never even thought of that.
Yes. Oh,
Diamond
that's a
waves.
really great point, because that came up yesterday. The diamond light activation being
Yeah.
integral to the light body transformation. So, I think that we are really going to see some very interesting things. I also received interesting information regarding the wave, with this being, it wasn't my own channeling, but was communicated to me through somebody else, and I did find it is interesting, and I did find a resonance to it, considering all the activity that is going on right now. Was that this was a third big wave coming in, and really at the peak of that third wave, we are actually going to experience a fourth wave intersecting and coming in at that same time, when we're at the peak of the third. And that really struck me, because I saw it as a possibility of a real personal choice, for it to be either being sideswiped by the energy, or it just being a tributary that merges with your already greater water flow, and it literally just, the tributary just comes in, and pushes you along. So I think that could be experienced really in two different ways, depending on how you are trying to swim or float or flow through this wave river of energy. So I'm curious to see about that. And I think that that's what we're going to be experiencing now. Well, it's really kicking in now, and up through the next few weeks, with the 19th. So I'm
I'm
curious.
excited about that.
I think there's going to
Um,
be a lot going on. I really do.
so, how do you feel like all of this ties into? I know last week we talked about the Ark of the Covenant and how it could be, and then I did a video sort of pointing out the fact that he gets into it, talking about it being sort of a representation of what we're going through, and it being like the hemispheres of our brain are the tablets and or tables if you read the King James.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that we've got this arc and we're trying to. It's I really don't understand where he was coming from exactly, if he's saying it's both a device and a representation, or if he's just because he kind of explains it both ways. But the part where he was saying it represented us, it was symbolic of what we're going through and getting back to our light bodies. That part really resonated with me. How did you feel about that?
Yeah, it really did, because I feel it's a multiple layer. It's, as we're multidimensional, and as we experience things in multiple levels, I believe that the representation, again, like we talked about, the symbolism of the Ark of the Covenant is represented in multiple layers, and within us is one of those layers, and within, below the crust of the earth is another, and possibly below the pyramids another. And I do believe that what I'm seeing, for me, it is a portal allowing for the opening of a new energy coming through, that will allow us to portal within ourselves, or the earth within herself, or on a physical way, even, as far as space and such, so on an etheric level, on a physical level, on Gaia's level, and all these different ways. I think it's opening up, and In essence, I still think that the goal is this portal accessing this 5D reality, like, and that we can access it literally within ourselves. It's represented in these other ways, but it is still within us and our abilities, as is everything. So I
Yeah,
feel strongly about that.
I do appreciate the way William Henry does let you know he's sort of speculating or drawing conclusions from the research he's done, and so it's like we're all like just trying to sort of figure this out. But I think, what do you think about? Do you think of the ark in a very natural sense being a device, uh, a teleportation device for sort of this person to return from there to here, or do you think it's more of us being the device to return the Christ consciousness to us individually, or do you feel like it's both? Do you feel like a person's
What
coming with?
would I usually say? Both.
Could be
Yes,
both,
and
huh?
that's the multiple, that's the beauty of it, right? The fractal of it, that it is just all things in all ways. And when we're dealing with such highly symbolic representations, what I loved about was it William Henry?
Yeah,
Yes, is the amount of artwork that he shows, and through the history, and you can see through the artwork the interpretation of it being represented symbolically in multiple levels,
yeah, and
in
cultures
multiple
too. Yeah,
ways,
religions
as
and
a
cultures.
real, yeah, as a real like access to space and or interdimensional, but also as a real access within yourself. And what I've really been getting from taking in this information is a clear understanding of the actual abilities of our own imagination, and that our imagination isn't really pretend as we think it is. It is, the greatest tool of our manifestation of abilities uh, that we have. And I think, when you look at dreams and how we go through these different realities through dreams, and if you come to the acceptance or the belief that they are genuine experiences that you're having on a level in your sleep, then what you can create meditatively in your mind through even daydreaming is create a visualization. But it is not just pretend. On an element, we are creating that reality. That's actually how we begin to paint that picture. So I see that our imaginations literally are the key to that portal, that you create through your imagination the reality of your experience, especially if you can shed all belief systems and lenses that have been placed in the boundaries through religion, society, and familial structures. If we can release those restraints and have complete faith in the ability of our imagination to create the environment around us, that it literally is an internal job. It's a greater understanding, a fine tuning of the understanding of the internal job that we are doing. When we first started talking back in March, we're talking about the wave, and the wave, seeing that wave from outside and coming to us. And as we've progressed, through these months, I'm seeing in greater and greater detail how that the creation and imagination, visualization of that wave within us and being within us is required first before seeing it on an exterior level. So it was like people were waiting to see that and then have the internal, having that create the internal wave within, the exterior wave creating the internal wave. But it really truly is the other way around. It's a full belief in our abilities to see, create, visualize, and be within that rainbow wave of energy within us, understanding the true power of our God abilities that is within every cell of us, within our being. The magic is truly ours. And to when you fully get that and release the boundaries, I think that really is required first before seeing this representation on an external level coming to us,
Oh, I
and
totally
that's how it would
agree.
play out.
I think that's, I often think of exactly what you're saying when I hear, in the Bible where it says you must become like little children again. That's the thing that society says, grow up, quit imagining, and a lot of us that, we've held on to, like with art, we've talked about this before, art and music. So many of us are into this stuff where you have to engage that right part of your brain. You have to, to write a story or to create a piece of art, you're exploring that divine part of our nature, that feminine
Yeah.
part of the brain, and that God-like part of our, that right brain. I did want to catch up with the chat. Carmela wanted me to ask if Michelle has seen the silver glitter. Do you know what she's referring to?
You close your eyes behind your closed eyes.
Oh, oh, I think I know what
Are
you're
you
talking about. Are
are
you
you
talking?
getting? Is that what she's referring to?
I don't know. I know when I look at the clouds, I see the little sparklies everywhere. Maybe that's what she's talking about.
Let's see what she
I can,
says. I'm
I get
getting I'm getting a lot of more sparks behind the closed eyes very quickly now. So I'm not sure if that's what she's referring to.
that actually reminds me of when the astronauts were talking about whenever they got too close to the Van Allen belt, and they would see these sparks from the cosmic rays penetrating through their eyes and through the ship's shields and
Yeah.
everything, and they would close their eyes, and they said you would almost not even notice them if you weren't looking for them. They were just kind of subtle, and that's how the sky is. In fact, I got my wife to see it. I'm like, look at the sky, and she goes, I see the little floaties on my eye. You know how that you got these little dark floaters on your eye that you
Mm-hmm.
ignore. It's sort of like that, except it's bright. Instead of it being shadowy, it looks like little sparkles everywhere, just moving around, and it's
Yeah.
apparent, and it's you don't want to look too close to the sun, but it helps if it's a sunny day and you're just looking at the white clouds to just stare there and kind of ignore the clouds themselves and notice the silver glitter. I don't know if that's what she was referring to, but overprotected says maybe that's the consciousness arc, talking about what we were talking about. And I actually emailed Nathan about that because I thought the same thing. I was like, oh my gosh, this sounds like his consciousness arc he's talking about with the Sam messages he was getting or whatever. It seemed like it connected with the Ark of the Covenant stuff, and creating the ark with Sam talking about the ark to connect us back together.
I'm okay. I missed that one. I've like listened to. Okay, I don't know if you can forward that one to me. I'm gonna have to re-listen to it because I don't recall that conversation. I'm gonna have to listen to that. I didn't
Yeah, I
know.
think it.
I didn't know that Nathan was talking about the Ark of the Covenant.
No, not the Ark of the Covenant. He was
Mm,
talking more about like a Noah's Ark type
okay, of
vessel for us to,
consciousness.
of consciousness, that we're being taken away on a consciousness arc or
Yes,
something along
yes,
those lines, and it was
yes. And
all
I've seen
connecting.
that. I've seen that in my
Yeah.
event dreams, and it's a very large sphere,
Hmm.
very, very like huge sphere,
And
and
that
yeah.
totally ties in with Neo Glimmer's mother to brothership consciousness ship, and which was like our combined energies creating consciousness, creating like a Merkaba in the sky that was like a thought form mothership or brothership or whatever.
Yeah.
Duty calls.
There you go. Summertime. There's too many chipmunks and squirrels everywhere. There
But
you
yeah,
go.
it's all tying together, and I'm starting to realize because even somebody sent me something from Pamela Arison, where she like channeled Lucifer or something, and he was talking about if everything that we do that's evil and bad we project onto him, but it's really he's just a mirror of ourselves, and that it's our own dark thoughts and dark tendencies that we don't overcome, and he's just reflecting back to us what we are. And then it even got into the fact that in the Bible he's known as the accuser, right? The not only the adversary but the accuser, and it's like the very people it's hard for me to say this without me becoming the accuser too. It's so weird the way this whole thing works, right? But the very people that leave me these comments saying that, you're doing the devil's work, they're actually calling me the accuser while at the same time doing the work of the accuser. They're accusing me. You see what I'm saying? But now I'm doing it back to them just to explain this to you guys. But these are the thoughts I'm like, holy crap. It's like, everybody's like working for the team that they think they're working against. It's like it's mind-boggling when you really get into all this and you start to really view how it all is. And then I realized that it's all orchestrated, and it's like, when we go to, I used to love passion plays where you go and you watch. It's sort of like the Passion of the Christ movie, but it's like all acted out, and you go to a big amphitheater. You can go to an event like that. You can be a character. Say you're Judas, right? And Judas has a script that he's playing out. He's doing what he's doing for whatever reason he's doing, and then like you might go to Mother Mary, that she's got her script that she's playing out, and then you got people in the audience that's watching it, and they've got sort of their idea of what's happening. But then you have like, the directors of the whole event, and they're like, well, we've got the passion, and they sort of are looking at this overview of everything. And it's like everyone's got their own script. And the more I really start to dig into all of these truths and everything, some of them that seem so contradictory really aren't. It's just the perspective of what you're looking. Are you looking at it from Judas's point of view? Are you looking at it from Peter's point of view? He was afraid at the time that he betrayed Jesus, or denied Jesus in the story where he denied him. And all of these seem like they kind of go against each other in a way. But at the same time, when you can take this get in the audience and look at this, or become the director of the whole event, and you say, well, the people in the audience are perceiving it this way, and then the actors are playing out their part, and everybody's got their script, you begin to see how it all orchestrates together, and it all makes sense, and it doesn't, even the things that contradict themselves don't really contradict themselves. It's just the point of view you're looking at it from, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and perspective is everything, and that's it exactly. And while you're talking about, I'm remembering the experiment, sorry, that they did when they started really understanding the quantum reality of everything, and how, even watching something play out is affected like by your own bias, in a simultaneous, timeless way. And yeah, it's just such an interconnected web. And judging anybody's experience is absolutely pointless, because you can only even perceive their experience from your perspective, not from theirs or even somebody else's perspective on the other side of them. Um, so it really is, and I think we've talked about that before too, with the pointing the finger is, and the accuser. It really is your opportunity to stop and go and look at that reflection of you, because it really is a mirror. I think when you find yourself doing this, which we all do, um, it's an opportunity for you to look at the mirror. Zoe agrees.
That's so true. Say we're all
Yeah.
at a concert together. We're talking to each other on the phone. I'm sort of off to the side of the stage. You're out like in the balcony, and I'm like telling you what the drummer is wearing. You're like, he's got these pink shorts on, and you're arguing with me saying, no, he doesn't. It's
Mm-hmm.
like you can't see from where I'm at, and that's sort of what we're dealing with when people, sort of point the finger and say, you're wrong. It's like, you're not sitting where I'm sitting right now. You're not on this road, this journey of life that you're not at the same spot. So things
Mm-hmm.
aren't going to appear the same. It's silly for us to argue about what we see. And then you can be like, well, there's a trumpet player on the side over there. And I'm like, no, there's not, because I don't see him from my point of view. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
So when you say you're wrong, well, it's wrong to you, literally,
right.
just to you. It's doesn't mean it's wrong to even anybody else. And I think that's the funny thing too, is you'll see when, somebody wants to play the accuser and be you're wrong, is they often will as well have the need for others to validate that, jump on that bandwagon. Don't you agree? And to sort of increase their validation. And it's, just stop what you're doing. Stop right there. Sit back, and yeah. And if you find you're getting triggered by things, there's a reason. So again, it's release, 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 release. This is all about releasing. So I think we are going to get triggered, by a variety of different things over the next few weeks. Like, we don't get triggered enough, but on different levels. It'll be curious to see how that plays out, but it will push us again to release our 3D ideas as well as our 3D material items. All of those things, our belief systems are going to be pushed to let them go. So yeah, and that means being an accuser. So, and having to correct people.
Right. And we've all been there, that's why it's, I typically don't even really engage anymore. I'll just, just delete it or something, just because if it's rude and they're saying I'm working for Satan and stuff, I don't even want to try to defend myself, because if they'd say that to begin with, there's nothing I'm going to say to convince them otherwise. It's like, that's coming from the devil too,
Yeah. No. See, I have a tendency to get silly. I have a tendency to get sarcastic, right? And just,
You
but
do,
that's,
but
I think we're better off not taking it seriously. And it's not that you're laughing at that person or belittling them with laughter, but you laughing it off is a good tool. Letting it roll off, you find the humor in it. Not that the person is a joke, but find a joke within the scenario that allows you to just release it without putting yourself above them. And the best way to do that is finding similar funny things, quirky things that you do as well, maybe in a similar manner, and
or
allow
remembering.
yourself to laugh at yourself too, not just somebody else's idea, and see the humor in all of it. Don't take yourself so seriously, and others so seriously too.
That's why I'm so glad I was so into religion at one point, because I can actually think back to, I wouldn't have said something like that in a comment because I've never been that kind of a person, but
Hmm.
I would have thought that for sure. Like, I think this guy's got the devil in him or
Yeah.
something. I'm out of here. That's why I don't
Yeah.
understand. I'm like, if they really feel that, before, if I thought that, I would have just got the heck out of there and unsubscribed, and you never hear from me again. But some people want to stay subscribed to you, and every time he puts a video out, I'm going to thumb it down. I'm like, I'm just glad they're still listening.
But they have the best of intentions.
So,
They have the best of intentions for you, only good
right,
intentions. It's amazing the damage that is done in the name of good intentions. Hmm.
that's so true. So
Yeah.
true.
Yeah. Well, I only mean the best. I only meant to help. Mm. Hmm.
And it's like rising above all that. So it's like we're reaching a point now where, the veil is thinning. People are going to be able. I think the more people can stay open minded, like just with the scenario we were just giving it, you're at a concert, and someone says they see something, like, oh, do you? I mean, really consider what they're saying. And that was my whole point for starting this channel, is to really consider what other people are saying. Because if you say there's a trumpet guy on the side of the stage, and I argue and say, no, there's not, I throw that out as bad information. A month later, if somebody's like, hey, there's a trumpet guy on the side, I won't even remember you said that, because that was just disregarded as bad information. Your brain just kicks that out. But if you really consider it, you're like, oh, well, Michelle said that there was somebody over there with a trumpet too. So then you begin
Yeah.
to paint this bigger overall picture, that you're not sort of confined by your worldview, and you're not blinded by knowing it all already, which I think is really the bottom line. It's like when you feel like, oh, well, I've already got it all figured out. That's when, you're sort of hurting yourself, and you don't grow. You don't have that growth. And that's what I discovered a long time ago, is the more open minded you are about things, the more you can really grow. I mean, you can grow in leaps and bounds when you don't put yourself in this little box that you figured it all out. Because if you know it all already, what is there to learn, right?
Yeah, I like to look at like all these ideas and thoughts and different things. Like, they're all just a collection of wonderful jewels we can pick up and look at, and crystals we can sort of inspect and go, wow, like that's really fascinating. But it doesn't mean that we have to put it in our pocket and keep it. And I think that the less that we do that, the better. What I liked about your analogy again with there's a trumpet guy. There's a trumpet. So Michelle, there's a trumpet guy playing. And I go, okay, I hear a trumpet. I'll agree with you on that. But I don't think it's a guy. It's actually a girl playing the trumpet. Right? It's
Right.
and because I see a perspective of that person playing the trumpet that you didn't. So this is part of this exchanging the ideas,
Yeah.
you're picking up this, crystal and look at it. It was like, wow, look at the color it has over here and look at the way the light goes through it here, and then you hand it to me and go, Michelle, isn't this a beautiful crystal? Look how interesting it is here. And I go, yeah, it really is, but I'm looking at this interesting refraction on the other side. And but we can all appreciate these crystals and these ideas and move them around in your hand and taste them, smell them, do your thing, and then keep with you what is true to you, what resonates to you, and then let the rest go. You don't have to keep it all, and always be willing to let go of all ideas and belief systems. The sun's
That's
keep coming through.
amazing that you just brought up in the exact example that Jesus brought up in the Nag Hammadi text about when he was asked by his disciples, "What is truth?" And he used the faces of a crystal or a diamond. I can't. And he said that
Really?
it's like, everyone is looking at the same crystal, but the crystal has different faces, and people are perceiving the crystal.
Facets.
Yeah, exactly.
Facets, faces, facets.
Exactly. So it's like you
Yeah.
just used the
Wow.
exact example that Jesus used in the Nag Hammadi text when he was asked what was truth, what's real truth. And then, he even went on to say, when you're climbing the peak, you say, oh, there's the peak. I found the peak. And those in the valley do not see as those in the peak. And he used this example of sort of these hills. And it says, and when you reach that peak, you realize, oh, there's another peak there, but you couldn't see it because all you could see was the peak you were almost to, you know what I mean? And once you get
Mm-hmm.
up to that peak, you say, oh, there's another one. And he says, once you reach the peak to where there's no other peak above it, he says, lots of luck getting there, but that,
But
you're blessed if you
infinity,
make it there, right?
but in infinity, here she comes. There is always another peak.
Right.
And actually I did a reading for somebody a few days ago, and with the reading was some guidance on meditation, and giving her some metaphor tools and visualizations to help her along with that, and in explaining the process of how we in meditation sort of keep stepping back a level from
Mm-hmm.
the viewer. And so I liked the equation of, I was showing her, normally we're on the road in the traffic, stuck in the car, and it's all these thoughts. But with meditation, you get out. Let's see if I can turn away from the sun a little bit. I'm not sure how bright that is. We get out of the car and we go sit up on a hill, and we can sit calmly, breathe, and just watch the flow of traffic go by. And that's all your thoughts. You can just, you know what? That's your first step of meditation, is just being on that first hill and go, oh, look at all the cars going by. But the next step beyond that is realizing that there is another you on an even bigger hill behind that who is looking at you, watching the cars going by. And then behind that is a bigger hill with another you that is watching you, watching the cars go by. And you can keep going back in that state. And just another good analogy, sort of, because I think when we really get about 4 steps back, verging on 5, I almost feel that slippage of reality dropping out, like almost like whoop, I could just pop back in, so some like
Find
drop
yourself
out and drop in somewhere else. So
find yourself in some kind of matrix chair with a cord plugged in the back of
yeah,
your neck.
yeah. Oh,
Just playing.
great.
You're like, oh, I actually got
No.
all the way out.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
I'm
Pop
just
right out
joking,
of it.
guys. Who knows? But I
Yeah,
am
but
just
it's
joking.
that's another great visualization tool that popped in, is that, but there's always one other hill
Yeah.
with another one looking down, looking down, looking down, looking down. So it changes your perspective. And I think that's, it's a great tool to allow us to help us trust, to release the need to control everything. And if you can keep seeing those synchronicities, those numbers, those things popping up, and let it keep reminding you through the day, let that be your road signs that you're supported, so you can release the need to know on everything, the need to have the plan for everything, and understanding that if they can plan out that much, those synchronicities so effortlessly and beautifully for you in your life. Well, what else, what other magic can they perform? And it's certainly far greater than anything you can plan out and make strategies for in your human mind. So a great tool is just put trust in your higher self, or put trust in Jesus, in knowing that their abilities to create the best plan for you possible is far superior than your strategic abilities. So don't worry about having to have everything figured out. Know that you're supported. Know that each time you see those numbers, you see that synchronicity, they got you. They got your back. So just lay back and just float with the water and let it carry you.
And that's another reason why I often bring up the Mandela effect, is because when you see how reality gets shifted around in such a way that's so different for each individual, it's like once you see how meticulously micromanaged the effect is on an individual basis, the more you realize that this can't just be a byproduct of CERN, in my opinion. It's like
We are
someone's
more
doing this.
powerful. We are way more powerful than that
Yeah.
within us. Why do they have to go to such lengths? And it really is our understanding that opening of the ark, that portal, that power is within us. That Christ consciousness is within us, within every cell of our being. And our greatest ability is that as creators, as manifestors and creators, that is our godlike power. And it is far superior to any of those things. And it's not by using your hands in building machinery, it's by opening up the power of what is inside of you, truly. That is far superior than any machine that can be made.
Someone's mentioning Sherry is talking about the tingles on the tip top of the head, that she hadn't had that, but she's had it the last 4 days. Have you still been having that?
I'm getting a lot of, yes, but I'm getting a lot of brushing, like butterfly wings across the face and now across my eyes. We talked about before where it used to be, yeah, we got, the little
Yeah.
tingling, or like somebody was maybe moving your hair on the top of your head. You're like, what, do I have a bug in my hair or something? But
Right.
there is nothing there. And then sometimes it was like feeling like, maybe the bit of the hair getting like brushed away. Now in meditation, I'm literally feeling like brushes across my face. I'm feeling more now brushes across the eyes.
It's wild.
Somebody there. Brushes across the eyes and stuff. Sorry, give me talk amongst yourselves.
Okay.
1 second.
All right. Let me check the chat here. Let's see. Looks like event will hit. Boom. I think we're I think we're already experiencing it. I think it's an ongoing process myself, and it
Sorry
seems
about
to come
that.
in waves.
my
No problem.
neighbor my neighbor was at my fence back there. Not the best time trying to get my attention, so I realized the dog was going to keep barking. So okay, all good.
Anyone feeling pokes?
Pokes.
That's stepping up from seeing something move out of the corner of your eye. Now you're feeling a poke. My friend Becky Lewis, from Central Indiana, she was talking about she had a pet die, and then she would
Oh, I'm
feel the
sorry.
pet like rub against her leg, and she looked and it wasn't there. It was like it was sort of
Mm.
still around and comforting her, even though it had passed away. And I'm like, I don't have any pets, so if I feel brushing against my leg, it's gonna freak me out.
I did experience that with my first dog that I had. He did pass in 2008, 4 days before Christmas. That was my awesome year. But and I did feel that presence with him sometimes. Like he came to lay on the bed, but there's no dog. So, and that was before I got Archer. But with the two of them around me now, it's usually them poking me. And you know what? I should mention, when we're on the topic of the animals and of course the animal behavior and stuff, especially the last couple of days. I mean, I've noticed the dogs getting clingier, like at sleep. I'm sandwiched like a cookie, but this has gotten a little crazy with Zoe. Actually, the last couple of days, she's literally walking like attached to my leg. And she doesn't, she's usually a lot more aloof than that. And it's quite strange. She's like constantly right there, like right behind me, right on me, has
Really
she's having
attached.
her head on me all the time. And it's different behavior for her, and it's increased a lot. Like she's literally attached to my calf. It's so yeah, it definitely makes me feel like more is picking up, and they do pick up on that. So mhm.
Very interesting. Yeah, I wish I had some animals, but can't have them where I live. I love them, cats, dogs, pretty much anything, you know.
Well, I don't know if I would have been able, I was talking to Michelle about that yesterday in the interview, how I think of them as my battery packs, and that I really don't know that I would have been able to take in everything that I have over the last year, because I've had Zoe for a year now. She's just over a year old. And with that, it was like God gave me another battery pack from knowing the amount of energy that I was going to have to take in, process, and go through over the last year. And I really feel that, like, in my sleep, and especially as from March, as things have progressed, is really from the timing where she used to go sleep on the couch by herself. She liked to sleep by herself. She didn't like to. I got Archer's always being right beside me, but now literally I've got one on one side and one on the other. Smush. And that's the baby playing with the toys right now. So I've really noticed that, and I definitely, when I go sit to meditate, they immediately come in. She's sitting right in front of me all the time, like, and then lying down right in front of me. And it's really picked up. But I do feel that they really actually help me process all this energy as it comes in, because it is so much to take in.
Do
Hmm.
you think they feel that you get mellowed out while you're meditating and they enjoy that energy? That
Yeah, and I'll often work on clearing their energy as well when they come in and do that. Because what I learned to be aware of was energy blockages or disruptions within my own physical body. Like if I'm was having stomach problems, and that the dogs would could be carrying that problem as well. More specifically, Archer, who is 9 now, and is, little guy. He's been with me all that time, and he's my pocket puppy. He goes with me everywhere, and he's very attached. But I would see that he would, I think, in taking in that energy as well, deal with some of the side effects and symptoms of it too. So I had to become consciously aware to make sure that I was, especially with the activation I had in my hands back in the beginning of May, really have been able to use that with them to find any blockages, sore spots, or inflammations, and really move that energy out of them, and keep them feeling better as well too. So to be consciously aware that if you do have pets, and if you're experiencing symptoms, if they are very attached and close to you, maybe be aware that when you're releasing the symptoms in meditation for yourself, which I hope you do, that to be doing it with your pets as well.
that's a great idea. Yeah, because I know, like, if people are arguing in a room and it's a really heated debate, and then they leave and you come home, it's like that energy is still sort of lingering in the air, that thickness. And if your animals are in it, it's
I think they
probably,
hold far more of that than we realize
yeah,
for us. I really do, far more than we realize, um, because they're able to. So, but we still have to be aware. I think that they can experience symptoms as well.
definitely. Well, is there
Mhm.
anything you want to say before we head out for the week and you go enjoy the sunshine?
You know what? I had a million ideas, but this is the problem. This is why I've been able to do. I finally started writing things down again, so I'm going to get back to my videos. I had Michelle yesterday, you today. So if I'm not doing one tonight, actually I probably won't be doing one tonight. I've got quite a few conversations to have still, but I'm going to be doing one tomorrow for sure. And I'm definitely going to be picking up now. I had to clear some other stuff out, and sort through some energy transitions myself, and I wasn't able to keep a lot of thoughts enough to be able to do the videos for a little while. Because of course, when I set the intention of like, okay, I want to just start doing this like every day, it ended up being a lot harder, and I got really sideswiped with a lot of information, energy, processing, purging, blah blah blah. My own different process as well. But now I really feel like, okay, good. This is, good where I am now and ready to get back started with that. Actually, I will mention I'm very excited about this. If anybody does live in Southern Ontario, I've progressed as far as working on the group meeting I want to have monthly for those awakening and looking to discuss or be around or learn more about ascension energies, all things even regarding waking up and anything to be discussed, hoping to bring people together that, face to face where we can have these discussions. So I'm in Cambridge, Ontario. And if you are interested in attending these meetings, if you're in Southern Ontario, I will be discussing it more on my channel as I'm progressing putting these things together. So I do have the facility where it's going to be done, and I'm sorting that out with them. It's a spiritual store that does have rooms, large rooms available and small rooms. So I am going to be doing my readings now actually through their one-on-one, and they have a scheduling system, and then doing this monthly meeting, which is I don't want to make any money from. I completely want to donate my time and energy to it, and put that out there for people to get to. So if you're curious, you can email me at wolf.art101@gmail.com. So it's WOLFE.ART101 at gmail.com. If you do live in Southern Ontario, or you'd like to find out more about attending these meetings, I'll be talking about more on the channel, but you can also ask me directly for information, and I can keep you more posted that way too.
And I did just add her email into the chat. You'll just have to make the @ a real @ and the dot a real dot,
Mm-hmm.
just so it doesn't show up as a link. But yeah, that's the you can copy and paste the wolf.art
Well, yeah.
and then at gmail.com behind it. Now I'm really excited tomorrow for you guys that can join live tomorrow at 3 p.m. Central Time. Let me double check it here. Yeah, it's 3 p.m. Central or 4 p.m. if you're East Coast. I'm going to have Alan and Sandra on, which I think they're in the chat. Divine Twin Flame Divine Fire
Oh
radio
wow.
program I was
Are
on.
they
They're going to
really?
be on
Because
tomorrow. It's
I
going to be a
love Shri.
blast.
They worked with Shri and Kira on their radio channel too, and I'm just such a big fan of them. So, yeah,
Awesome.
that's fantastic. Oh, I hope they are. That's great. I'll be
Yeah,
watching that for sure. Absolutely.
that's going to be our next show. That's coming tomorrow. So please join in on that. That's going to be a lot of fun. I feel that connection with them just like I do with so many people. That's like, you
Hmm.
know, I feel like I've known them before. Just like with you, it's like I feel like have known the
Oh
person
yeah.
before you even incarnated here. It's
I
like
swear you're my brother. We had Christmas morning together at some point. I'm sure of it. I'm sure of it. Like, you go down first. No, you go down first.
right. It's like me and Jose. We were supposedly princesses or something, sisters, princess
Oh,
sisters
really?
in a previous life or something that someone said. It was
Yeah.
pretty interesting. She loved that because we both had the gap. She goes, "See, we're sisters." She gets a
That's
kick out of it.
funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, 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 I can see that. Oh.
No,
Hmm.
no, you can't.
The gap. I
That
can
was a
see. I'm
previous
picturing the
life.
polka
Okay.
dot dress. I'm picturing the ringlets and with the ribbons. Your little
We need the
sparkle.
wine with sparkles, the glitter. Yeah, we
Yeah.
I did get a someone's asking about the glitter again. I actually
Mm.
got a shot of the sun one day and I saw it looked like falling glitter. Now it's spring, so at the time that I recorded it was spring, so I wasn't sure if it was things coming off the trees or whatever. So I don't want to be the
It's
person
the
that posts
yeah.
something and I just figured it was like dandelions or something blowing. So I wasn't sure,
And the
but
sun
it
hits them and then they glitter. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I
But
thought it was. So I
but
never
I'm
shared it.
definitely seeing the rainbow luminescence in the clouds. I've had a few very strange experiences with the moon a couple nights ago, going, what is that? Like, It was very unusual. It was absolutely huge. It was like looking at a different planet in the sky. It was very strange, and orange. And the clouds, like I'm definitely, it's like I can see the energy wisping down. Like I'm thinking the energy that's coming through the atmosphere. You sort of see the patterns of it different ways because there's so many different kinds of clouds that we're seeing in the sky all at once,
Yeah.
of all these different kinds. And I think that is what is unusual, and there's these ones that are like somebody spilled flour and it's
Yeah.
drifting down, and there's other ones that look like the sand that gets rippled on a beach from the waves, and
Hmm.
all these, and then other ones that have right angles to them. So
Yeah, then that's pretty strange. And then there's other
yeah.
ones where it's almost like a bunch of cotton balls sitting on top of a glass table and someone's pressing it down and it's creating this
Yeah.
flatness on the bottom.
Very
It's like,
unusual shadows, very
yeah,
unusual shadows within the clouds or within the sky itself that is blocking light.
totally.
I had a very strange experience last night. The sun had set to the north west, of course, higher than usual. And 20 minutes later, I'm looking completely southeast and going, why is the sun setting over there now? Like, really, fuchsia, everything. And but the sun's already gone down over there. So what is going on southeast now?
Right.
Very strange. So I think what's going on up in the skies, is getting stranger, mysteriouser and mysteriouser every day.
Right. Yeah. I often I look at the clouds and I don't think I never remember being a kid and looking up the sky and seeing clouds like this.
No,
This is like
no,
totally different than and
not the
has no
layers
one.
and layers like
Yeah.
this.
Very
Yeah,
strange.
you're very strange.
Indeed. Well, I'll let you take care of your pets and we will
Yeah,
say goodbye to everyone in the chat. We thank you for joining us live. We'll see you
yeah.
tomorrow with Alan and Sandra. Looking forward to that. Lots of love and light and peace out. Thank you, Michelle.
Peace.